Section 2 of Sports Facilities Assignment 2, Review of Bay Leisure, the LC Sports Hall. This section, I want you to focus on marketing. It's a 500-word section, and again we will be utilising the Quest guidance on marketing, which can be found on Moodle. I want you to undertake a general marketing review. We don't have access to the marketing strategies, but we can make an assessment of the general overall marketing approach. Specifically, I want you to consider your review from Section 1, the overall strategic aims and objectives, mission, vision and values of the organisation. Are they now reflected in the targeting of customers, the marketing, imagery and media platforms that Bay Leisure may be utilising? Are the messages, the pricing, the promotion consistent with their strategic aims and objectives? To put this into context, I would like you to use one of the segmentation profiles that we've used in class from Sport Wales as an example, and the rest of this presentation will give you some ideas of how you can utilise this. Again, what I want you to ensure that as you're reviewing, using the Quest guidance as a guide, I want you to ensure that you utilise key reference points, books, journals that you may have utilised in the past, certainly with marketing from year 1, key marketing theories, 7Ps, etc. Thinking about participation trends, ideas around how sport and participation can be increased through effective social media, print media and communications. The Quest document is G+11. There are other documents, but I would just like you to focus on this key document, marketing, e-coms and social media. Again, not everything in this document you can use in this analysis because we don't have all the information, but I would like you to read through and clearly identify what questions we may be able to answer purely by making an assessment of their marketing or hard copy promotions, online, social media. Again, the document outlines examples of best practice. We can't find plans, so I wouldn't worry about those. However, we can make assessments on whether we think market segmentation, social media and blogging, whether they're considering economy 7Ps, competitor analysis and SWOT analysis. The key questions that we can consider are questions like this. Does the Centre's marketing plan link to relevant organisations' objectives? That is a key question I would like you to think about and clearly justify your answer. We can't answer this question. Is there a documented marketing promotional plan in place? We could make an assessment of whether we think governing body plans have been considered, but we don't have accurate information. The only way we can do that is consider the information that's available to us, which is the current promotions, online, social media, etc. We can't answer, are management staff aware of market segmentation? However, we consider whether a marketing mix has been planned and is being utilised effectively. If not, what recommendations can we provide? And I'd like you to consider each question and whether they can be answered or not. The G+11 form will also have sections such as do. So the first section we've just looked at is the planner section. This section is the delivery and review. Again, there are a number of questions in this section that we can't answer, but we can certainly consider making recommendations based on the information available to us. So, should all job description and personal specifications include marketing? We don't know if they do, but we can consider making a recommendation to suggest that all staff should have a responsibility for marketing and what that might be. Consider your referencing at this point and where we can get examples of best practice. We can, however, make assessments on whether we think that the organisation has developed a key brand or corporate image. Is it consistent on its media, leaflets, posters, websites, social media, etc.? And if it's not, should they have a brand guidance? Is it consistent? So, logos, font type, colours, is that consistent across all platforms? We also need to consider pricing as part of the 7 Ps and in context with your case study segmentation profile. We can't answer a question like this because we don't understand whether there is a centre budget for marketing. And again, we can only assume answers to these sorts of questions, but we can see and make judgments if there's no social media, or if the social media isn't targeted or understood effectively. Then we could argue the case that management aren't taking into consider industry best practice and latest trends. That might be through the online strategies that are being used, the current website, or any other social media outlets. For example, do they have a Instagram or Vine account and are they engaging in those platforms effectively? I don't just want personal judgments on that. I want a judgment plus any industry best practice, academic or management marketing theory to support your conclusions. We can only make broad judgments about marketing spend, so I don't want you to do too much in this section. Do read through the guidance and questions and pick out what you feel is relevant. And likewise in the review section, I want you to consider not necessarily making an assessment of whether this is happening, but whether we can pick out some recommendations of what they should potentially think about. In terms of performance measurements, again, we don't have a specific set of key performance measures that they may be using, but I would like you to consider what performance measurement tools we could suggest that they use. So what key indicators, how can we measure success of their social media? For example, growth in customers, sales, followers, retweets, etc. What I would like you to do is consider the marketing review in context. So I'd like you to use a target group as an example for some of your recommendations throughout. So if the profile in front of you is from the Sport Wales website under people segmentation. This is one of the population maps for Swansea for a profile of Reese, who is 18 to 25. Again, we need to consider the prevalence of Reese in concentration around the centre being approximately here, and the darker the red, the more prevalent Reese is. So as you can see from this profile, Reese is quite a strong target population for the LC, and I would like you to consider in your analysis using examples for either Reese or one of the other profiles, and it can be any one of the profiles, giving examples of how the marketing may or may not be relevant or targeting Reese in a good or bad way. The Sport Wales website will also you can also download the specific profile based on key information sets from Sport Wales. The profile won't be Swansea specific, but will give you an idea of the age group, how many of the sort of this type of segment will be in Wales, how regularly do they participate, and some background information. What I would like you to concentrate in these profiles are whether they whether the Reese of this particular segment participates in sport on a regular basis, and what type of sports they may consider. You don't have to put this in your review, but I'd just like you to consider, if you're picking this segment, Reese, for example, should be an easy target who regularly participates in a variety of activities. Some examples are given here based on national trends and national survey information, so this is fairly reliable. What his barriers to participation may be. What activities, so in terms of latent demand, so activities he's not particularly participating in right now, but would like to participate in more often. And again, here, and barriers of why he might not. This is important because if our marketing, or the marketing assessment here of Bay Leisure would like to target the 18 to 25 year olds, we need to make an assessment of whether these barriers are taken into consideration, and whether maybe some of these activities are being targeted at Reese, who we know from our map is high in concentration in the immediate area and across the city and county of Swansea. I would like you to pay particular attention to this slide, as it will help you assess the various platforms. So in context, if we were to assess all of Bay Leisure's marketing strategy, again, just to remind you, at section 1, this particular section, at the beginning of the introduction, I want you to consider whether the overall marketing strategy relates back to the mission, aims, objectives of Bay Leisure. In context of a particular segment group, I'd like you to consider whether the marketing strategies are considering for Reese and displaying any of these sorts of key messages, tones in the marketing materials, social media, website, print material, and will it be specific and capture and pull this particular segment into the building. This should give you a little bit of context and allow you, just with one segment, to make some assessments of whether you think that the marketing strategy is actually effective or whether it's not going to actually pull Reese into the building, both through not necessarily the programming at this stage, but certainly through how it presents itself, its brand, its image, the media that it's using. This is a nice list for you to consider when making that assessment. Even though you're concentrating on one segment, you can then draw reference to the fact that maybe that there's too much emphasis put onto this age group, and that other age groups may then potentially be put off by this sort of messaging, and or if Bay Leisure and its mission, aims and vision are trying to be all things to all people, then the current marketing mix is trying to cater for everybody. Is that successful or not, in your opinion, backed up with relevant resources, evidence and examples? What we're trying to get out of this section is whether we feel that as a commercial entity, even though it's a not-for-profit trust, and it is trying to open its doors to everybody, whether the current management and marketing to pull in people to the centre is effective or not. Is the actual marketing plan in line with the overall strategy, or is there a disconnect where there may be an overemphasis on one area of the population rather than the entire population, or whether they're trying to do too much and failing or not quite hitting the mark? And we can give examples of how, for your particular segment, they can be a little bit more targeted, or whether maybe you need to differentiate their product mix, whether the website needs to be differentiated. So there's an older focus set of brands, and likewise whether there's a younger set of brands. Here at this point, I'm happy for you to give your own opinions, but the opinions need to be supported with relevant evidence throughout.